Okay, well, I'm gonna go ahead and get started so we can end on time. Welcome everyone to 15 Minutes of Positivity. If it's your first time here, we are a small but faithful group of folks that are just trying to carve out a few minutes a day to practice specific skills that just have been shown to help us feel better. So today being Monday, Mindfulness Monday, so we'll go back to a really foundational, basic skill. And I wanted to share a little anecdote about this weekend. I was in clinic. You know, we do a lot of treatments on the weekends, and I was speaking with a patient, and they made this statement about ketamine, which I just thought was really profound. So I want to bring that up. Ketamine is like mindfulness in a bottle. And in the conversation, what we were talking about is trying to encapsulate or describe to anyone who has never had an experience with intravenous ketamine or other forms of administration. It's basically impossible to capture the experience. And with all of this emphasis these days on psychedelics, so there's MDMA, there's psilocybin, obviously some of the plant medicines, ayahuasca and so forth. So there's this whole spectrum of medicines, and of course they affect us differently. And ketamine is technically what we would call a dissociative anesthetic. So it's really an anesthetic that's been around forever. But when we use ketamine in the clinic, we use it in this space where we don't put patients under, but we keep you in this interstitial space where you're conscious, but the medicine is having this dissociative effect. And this one patient was commenting on how much it reminded them of their mindfulness practice, so their meditation practice. And specifically what they were referring to was the what I would call like the transpersonal or the distance sensation that gets created, where you're clearly in the room, you're clearly it's still you who's having, you, the conscious being that's having this experience. And yet there's something profoundly spacious or even a little bit separate about the relationship that your mind or your consciousness is having with that moment. And this is why ketamine, is such an amazing tool to use in the context of PTSD and depression and so forth. And it dovetails really nicely into this mindfulness practice. So real quickly, what is mindfulness? In a like really basic form, it's a state of active awareness where we pay deliberate attention. So we are intentionally sitting down and saying, okay, what are we going to do right now? And the answer is we're going to pay attention to whatever's happening in the present moment. And the hard part in this whole process is the without judgment piece, right? We have this judging mind, and I don't necessarily mean judgment in a critical or negative sense, but everything that passes through our mind is somehow our brain tries to qualify or classify things as good or bad or helpful or not helpful or whatever it might be. So that's what I mean with the judgment part. So here's a simpler way of saying what is mindfulness. Mindfulness is when we pay attention on purpose to whatever's happening in the present moment without judgment. So what mindfulness is not, it's not avoidance or escapism. Little disclosure here, it drives me a little bit crazy when I see mindfulness or even meditation oftentimes presented in this context of people being all blissed out. They're, usually on magazine covers and they're wearing, white robes, and their eyes are closed, and it looks like they're having this ecstatic experience. And my experience, mindfulness is a lot grittier and rawer than that for most of us. So it's a little bit of a little bit misleading the way it's presented. Mindfulness is also not ignoring or suppressing emotions or thoughts or any experiences that we're having. It's not about emptying the mind of thought. That'll just give you a headache. If you try to sit there and say, gosh, why can't I stop thinking? Good luck. It's like trying to stop your heart or to stop breathing. The brain just thinks. That's just what it does. So it's about changing the relationship to the thinking process. And then this last one, a way to become enlightened. I think, a lot of us, when we first bump into this, there's this romantic fantasy of, oh gosh, if I do this practice, at some point I'll get to a place that, is equivalent to whatever enlightened means. And I just want to debunk that myth right from the get-go. In my experience, it has very little to do with enlightenment and more just to do with coming into contact with what I would call bare attention. So paying bare attention to whatever is happening in the moment. Okay, enough said. So let's actually do that. So start by closing your eyes. I know some of you are sitting in chairs. I know some of you are laying down right now. Doesn't matter however you find yourself. Close your eyes and just notice what's happening right now. Make it really simple. All of us are either laying down, sitting, or standing up. Aren't too many other options available. And see if you can drop into a space of that level of simplicity. Everything else is just a story, it's just a narrative. I'm just sitting, I'm just laying here. Then paying bare attention or paying attention to just the bare reality of what's happening right now, we can start layering in some other really basic things that are happening in this moment. For example, while you're sitting or laying down, notice the sensation of having a body. I like to wiggle my fingers and my toes just to amplify that awareness. And just notice for a second, what's it like to be in your body in this moment? For many of us, this is where the without judgment part suddenly becomes relevant or challenging. Sometimes our body's tired or it hurts or it doesn't really feel blissful or good to be in the body right now. So the challenge here is to simply notice that, to allow that experience to be what it is, and just bear witness to it. And then you can layer in some other things that are happening right now, such as your heartbeat. Maybe you can feel that. I can feel that in my chest right now. Breathing. Body's always breathing. And so look for the what I would call the telltale signs of how do you know that your body's breathing? And you can do a quick scan of your belly and your chest, your shoulders, your throat, your nostrils. There's all these sensory signals that the body is breathing. And again, the goal here is to see if you can experience that without judgment. And you may have already noticed in the few minutes that we've been doing this that the mind has a tendency to wander, want to go into the future or to go into the past, anything but just being right here, right now, body sitting or laying down, breathing. Noticing how longer space or times of stillness are more conducive to the mind wandering. And then what happens when you notice the mind wandering? What are the judgments or what's the inner dialogue that kicks in about what just happened? Oh, I'm no good at this, doesn't work, whatever it might be. Just even notice that. That's just the mind thinking. It's no different than the lungs breathing or the heart beating. It's just another thing that we can observe, notice, and then take a deep breath in. Exhale all the way. And hold that exhale for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Another deep inhale. And exhale all the way. This time, while you're counting backwards, go ahead and open your eyes. So holding that exhale for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now just allow your body to breathe on its own. And just notice what your eyes are taking in. And see if in the background you can still maintain some sense of connection to body's breathing, sitting. What's it like to be here right now, just taking it all in without judgment. Hope that was helpful. Hope to see you tomorrow, same time, same place. Have a good day, everyone.